Hi, everybody. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate on this April 1st, 2025. It's Tuesday. No April Fool's jokes today. We have a lot of extreme weather that's developing and a major flood threat for parts of the Ohio Valley down into Kentucky and Tennessee, parts of Arkansas. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. Going to go as fast as I can here. This update's coming a little bit earlier during the day today. Had a little bit of a break in some of my work activities, so I wanted to put this out. The satellite that you're seeing here over my shoulder, it's the GOES East satellite, and we're monitoring Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri during the afternoon and evening today into tonight, and that will progress eastward over the next 24 hours. We have a lot to talk about. So let me take this full screen and show you what's going on. We're going to dive into GeoCollaborate as well. Currently, there's not a lot going on in Oklahoma, but their conditions are coming together with a very fast jet stream that's going to be crossing over the state, along with southerly winds bringing up a lot of moisture and a lot of instability, all associated with a pretty complex low pressure system that's coming out of the Rocky Mountains. And that's going to fuel all of the energy here later on this afternoon into this evening in Oklahoma. We could see some large tornadoes, intense tornadoes that have long tracks to them as well. So if you're in the Midwest and in Kansas and also in western Missouri, please pay attention. This update is for the All Hazards Consortium, the Sensitive Information Sharing Environment. We share information between state, private sector liaisons, and the private sector owner-operators that are moving goods and services across state lines, including power restoration. We've been having some ice storms and mixture of snow in the upper Midwest. That's going to happen again. It's like deja vu all over again with snow and ice through the Great Lakes into western New York and into Vermont and New Hampshire, parts of Maine as well over the next couple of days. At the same time, severe weather in the Midwest and flooding setting up right here around Kentucky and Tennessee. So let me dive in a little bit closer here, and I'm going to show you. We actually have the GOES satellite, the GOES East satellite. Actually, it's going to be turned off on Friday because the new satellite, GOES 19, that I've been showing you in the past, is going to take over as the new GOES satellite with even a coronagraph that's going to be monitoring the sun 24/7, 365. So this is what's been going on with the current GOES satellite. It has two mesoscale sectors that are taking imagery every minute, every 1 minute, to monitor what's going on over Oklahoma. And this is the first sector right here. You can see over Oklahoma, all eyes are here in eastern Kansas and also in parts of Missouri as well. So you can see this whole area. We're getting imagery every minute to monitor potential tornadic thunderstorms and very large hail. We have the chance for supercell thunderstorms developing later on today, into tonight, overnight, into tomorrow. Some of these supercell thunderstorms could be producers of very large hail, baseball size hail perhaps, maybe even larger. So this is a serious situation that we're watching. The winds at different altitudes are screaming over Oklahoma, and they're changing direction as you go up in altitude. So this is the first mesoscale sector that we're using to monitor the weather today. The second one is here over Indiana and over Kentucky. And this is what we're watching. This area here, including Paducah down towards southeast Missouri, Tennessee. This is the area we're watching for perhaps major rainfall between tomorrow and Saturday. We're going to see time after time after time of storms developing and moving over the same places. This is going to be certainly one to monitor, and your local broadcast meteorologists that you trust, will be updating these conditions hour by hour, certainly. This update is to give a heads up to the All Hazards Consortium. So when we have movement of utility vehicles and commerce and transportation, medical supplies, things like that, prescription drugs across these areas, you need to be very mindful for the extreme weather that's going to be developing over the next several days. I'll show you that on GeoCollaborate as well. As a matter of fact, why don't we go over to GeoCollaborate right now, and I'll show you what it looks like from the standpoint of risk for tornadoes today. This is the first data layer that I want to show you, and here it is. This is GeoCollaborate pulling in data from the Storm Prediction Center. This is their outlook, their convective outlook it's called, for day one. And this is what it looks like. So you can see this area in orange has an enhanced risk of severe weather, including tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds. So if you live anywhere in central Oklahoma on up into eastern Kansas and Missouri, including Kansas City, you are under threat for potential tornadoes, large hail, and severe weather. Now, what I'm going to do here is also show you the convective outlook for tomorrow. So this is for Wednesday, April 2nd. So I'm going to turn off the convective outlook for today, turn on the one for tomorrow, and look how it shifts to the east. But still, Missouri, St. Louis, all the way down into Little Rock and most of Arkansas, into eastern Texas and northwest Louisiana, all the way up through Kentucky into western and central Ohio, into Michigan, and extreme southeast Wisconsin. All of Illinois, this area is under an enhanced risk for severe weather tomorrow, and that does include potentially tornadoes and large hail. That includes Chicago as well. All of this is happening while Weather Service forecast offices are understaffed and they're being cut. So you need to pay close attention. The National Weather Service usually has high staffing levels during severe weather, but in this case, because of the downsizing and the rifts, there are going to be potentially some at-risk areas from Weather Service forecast offices that aren't able to cover every particular storm moving through. They usually have all eyes on the radar data, all the tornadoes that are going to be putting out, and they're going to be working overtime to cover all of this severe weather. Notice how it shifts to the east, into eastern Ohio too. I just highlighted the orange area, but the yellow area is also an elevated risk of severe weather during the day tomorrow. Now, I'd like to talk about flooding here. I'm going to turn off the convective outlook. I'm going to go to the weather prediction layers. This is the Weather Prediction Center in College Park, Maryland, and I'm going to turn on the excessive rainfall forecast for today. Notice that it's coincident with the enhanced risk for tornadoes and severe weather, but particularly just northwest of Kansas City. I'll zoom in just a little bit here so you can see what's going on. Just to the northwest of Kansas City and northeastern Kansas, just north of Topeka, there is an enhanced chance for flooding during the day today as these severe thunderstorms develop and move along a line up into eastern Kansas and western Missouri. Okay, that is the enhanced excessive rainfall outlook today. What about tomorrow? This is the outlook for tomorrow. I'll turn off today's and display just tomorrow. And you can see how this is switched, moved, shifted to the east. And this is the area. This is just tomorrow, but this is going to continue for the next 4 days as multiple storms move over these same areas. So we're looking at a significant high risk potential of flash flooding in this area. So this is, I want to do something here. I don't usually do this, but I want to show you the enhanced excessive rainfall risk for tomorrow. I'm going to turn on for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Look at all of these individual enhanced risks for flooding, and they're all basically over western Kentucky, from Louisville down to Paducah, all the way down to Little Rock. The enhanced rainfall here is going to create serious flooding potential. Alter and think about your operational plans in the All Hazards Consortium. If you live in these areas, know your flood risk. If you're going to flood, if you get 3, 4, 5 inches of rain, make sure you create a plan for where you're going to go before flooding starts. Many deaths occur when people try to leave their areas or their homes too late, and they get caught in floodwaters. So all of these overlapping threats, I'm going to turn these off because I want to turn on the excessive 3-day rainfall potential. Over the next 3 days, we have this from the severe weather chances today, later tonight into tomorrow. But look at how this over the next 3 days really lines up over the Mississippi here. And there are many tributaries that will flood very rapidly. So right in the bullseye is Louisville, Paducah, all the way down towards Little Rock in Arkansas, Western Tennessee, Nashville, you're included. As we get a little bit closer in here and dive in, talking about Jackson, Tennessee, Jonesboro, Arkansas. Here's Memphis, Tennessee right here. Also Western Kentucky, Evansville, Indiana, up towards Cincinnati, Ohio. So there's a chance for enhanced flooding, serious flooding in these areas. Please pay attention. I'm going to zoom out here because I also want to turn on another data layer. This is the 3-day excessive rainfall outlook, but I also want to highlight areas that are in drought currently. Look at these areas in drought around the country. Now, what do you notice? Look at what the storm track has been with storms alleviating a lot of drought. It's in the same areas, central Arkansas through Kentucky, through southeastern Indiana into Ohio. This area is not in drought. And I'll go over here, do a little bit of drawing as well. We're talking about this area has had their share of rain. So it's not in drought. And this is exactly where the rainfall threat exists. I'll turn on once again the 3-day excessive rainfall. And look at that, how it just falls right in the area that has not been in drought. So the soils are saturated. It's not going to take a lot of rain to make flooding occur. And this is what we're talking about as well. And I'm going to zoom in here. I'll turn off the drawing. This is what we're talking about. This area in here being prone to flooding and rapid flooding. We could see upwards of 10 to 15 inches of rain between tomorrow and Saturday because of repeated storms moving over this area. It's a serious situation, folks, and I want to make sure you understand the significance of this because we have a serious flooding problem, and we don't want to see people caught out in their cars trying to evacuate. If they know their areas are going to flood, you want to make sure you get out of there. Now, what I'd like to do is turn to the weather forecast models. This is the GFS model because I want to show you the severe weather that could be developing in Oklahoma, but also the series of heavy rain that's going to be moving through the Ohio Valley here over the next several days. So here's that low pressure system coming out of Colorado, and it's got a lot of southerly wind associated with it. That's bringing up high dew points, a lot of moisture, and you can see those storms that are forecast to fire up tonight and do that rather quickly, even in eastern Kansas and northwestern Missouri. This is heavy rain as well that is developing. And so as this continues to move out to the east, we have rain, snow in South Dakota and up towards Minnesota. So this could be a very heavy, wet snow that causes power outages. And that is where utility crews will be on it. They're monitoring the situation very closely because this is an intense low pressure system. But notice we have ice showing up once again in areas that had ice over the weekend, where we had more than 211,000 people without power along parts of Michigan and also Wisconsin into Minnesota and on into New Hampshire and Vermont and Western New York. Same situation is gearing up here. Look at all of this freezing rain. At the same time, we have snow, some heavy at times, lowering visibility, a heavy wet snow, possibly bringing down power lines or limbs, threatening those power lines as well. But look what we have developing here along this front. We have thunderstorms and showers, heavy rain along into western Kentucky. This is where Paducah is, Mayfield, Kentucky. Those areas look to see very heavy rain. Memphis and perhaps Nashville is right here. That's going to be a focal area for this concentration of rain. And look how it gets intense along this area as well, from Ohio down into Arkansas. We're talking here early Thursday morning, but watch what happens. That enhanced rain remains. And then we have another area of moisture and heavy rain. Why is this happening? Why is this rain staying in the same place over an extended period of time? All because of this high pressure system located over the Western Atlantic Ocean. It is anomalously high pressure. Even in the upper air charts, we can show you that. This is 500 millibars way up in the atmosphere. Look at this. This is showing high pressure anomalies, a ridge of high pressure that's anomalously strong. And that's what's making this precipitation move over the western periphery of this ridge of high pressure. Meanwhile, moisture keeps getting fed in from the Gulf and feeding these storms, giving them high flood potential storms. And when they happen one after another over the same place, that is an enhanced risk for flooding. Some of these areas could see well upwards over 10 inches of rain. Now we're into Friday morning, and it's continuing. Then another wave of heavy precipitation on into Friday night and Saturday morning before this starts to move out by Saturday night. Look at this heavy precipitation once again, Saturday night into Sunday. We could see widespread, devastating flooding in these areas. And that's why I want you to think about what you're going to do if you live in these areas now. And if you're going to get this type of rain, could be 10 to 15 inches of rain, what are you going to do? Start your planning now. If you own a business, a small business in these areas, make sure if you're prone to flooding, you get sandbags and put them up in front of your stores to try to prevent some of the water from coming into your stores. This is a lot of rain, and it's not going to be out of here, at least what the initial models say, until Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, then the heavy rain shifts to the east. Now, let me go back here just for a minute because we have enhanced rainfall on Sunday, right over where the wildfires are happening, once again over North Carolina and South Carolina. So this could put a real kibosh on those fires, which is terrific news. But we don't need flooding at the same time. We'll take that rain. The Southeast needs it. Notice it kind of dissipates again once it gets towards Florida. Florida has been in a drought as well. But we're going to be dealing with this weather situation for the next 5 to 6 days, and that's going to be causing widespread flooding. That's what it looks like. Now, I want to show you the precipitation forecasts from the GFS over the next 5 days. And check this out. Watch how this is accumulated precipitation, and watch where the big areas start to accumulate over western Kentucky over the next 5 days. Look at this. We're into Saturday now, into Sunday, and look at these amounts. We're talking amounts of anywhere from 8 to 15 inches of rain. 8 to 15 inches. This is nothing to play with. If you see a road closed from authorities, don't drive around it. Turn around. Don't drown. We're going to be doing updates through this period of time, but this is the time to get ready and start your operational plans for this major flooding event that's going to be happening across at least 7 states here between tomorrow and Sunday afternoon. So this is what I want to talk about here for some safety measures and safety rules. So today we're now talking about the tornado and severe weather threat in Oklahoma and Kansas and Missouri. So we have a chance of rapid, intense thunderstorms developing. You'll see those on radar. You'll see them on satellite imagery as well. From your local broadcast meteorologist, your favorite meteorologist, National Weather Service. We'll see supercells developing. Some of them will produce very large hail. Supercells do that. Some of those updrafts will be over 100 miles per hour, supporting hail size and hail growth up to baseball size hail, and then strong tornadoes that could remain on the ground for a long period of time. We're talking 5, 10 miles, perhaps even longer for some of these tornadoes. North central Oklahoma, eastern Kansas this evening into tonight. Okay, what about flooding impacts? I want to go over some critical infrastructure that may be impacted and pay close attention to this. Power. We might have widespread power outages from flooding substations or down power lines. If you lose power, make sure that you are at risk of flooding. Have a plan to go somewhere else, higher ground, a friend's house, a family member's house, to get out of there. Backup generators at hospitals and critical facilities may fail if those facilities are flooded. Many times those backup generators are on ground level or below ground. And if you have flooding, that's not a good place to have those backup generators. They need to be elevated away from the floodwaters. Water treatment plants may become inundated, leading to contaminated water supplies and boil water advisories. Critical infrastructure impacts natural gas, also communications, cell towers, and internet services might be limited or may even fail if these storms get intense enough. So that limits some emergency communications. If you think, oh, I'm going to stay here until I see water rushing through my garage, it may be too late for you to get emergency response responders to come and help you out. Roads, major arterials and highways may become impassable, isolating some communities. Bridges, structural undermining from fast-moving water and debris impacts could happen. When you get this kind of intense rainfall over this period of time, we're talking about major flooding in some of these areas that the National Weather Service has identified. Railways, tracks, washouts, and signal failures may disrupt passenger or freight service. That's something that could be very impactful as well in these areas. And also, airports, runway flooding may cause flight delays or flight cancellations or just ground stops. If there's heavy rain coming into an area, there may be a ground stop. And if that rain continues for a day, you're going to be on the ground for a while. So have a plan on what you're going to do. Hospitals, access challenges for patients and staff, emergency services, response times significantly impacted. Those response times will be increased. Some areas may become unreachable. And the supply chain as well. This is for the All Hazards Consortium, the delivery of food and goods, delivery of food, fuel, and medical supplies could be disrupted. Wastewater systems, you could have sewage backups. You could also have backups into homes and waterways causing health issues. I know it's a lot to talk about. It's a lot when we talk about impacts from this increased threat of extreme weather and flooding, but it's something that we need to do during these updates. So remember, the safest action during flooding is often evacuation. Don't wait until it's too late. You want to get out of there. So I'm going to go back to GeoCollaborate here for a second because I want to talk about another data set that I have loaded into GeoCollaborate, and that is this thing called extreme precipitation monitor. What is this? This extreme precipitation monitor is something that really shows where we could have, and I'm going to turn on a legend here, where we could have above, not just above average, it's really climatologically, how many times a year will we see this kind of flooding? And you see on the legend here down at the bottom, this area is yellowish. So we're talking about seeing flood levels that may repeat every 5 years based on climatology. Now, as the model data becomes further refined as we get closer to this event, we may see this jump up to orange, where it may be 10-year floods or even 25-year flooding event. So we're talking about what kind of graphic can we show that says, okay, pay attention to this area because this isn't an everyday flood. It's not one you see, 3-4 times a year or once every year or once every 2 years. This is a once every 5 year based on the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center's outlooks and predictions. They're talking at least a 5-year flood event happening here from Western Kentucky in up to about Cincinnati. And this area here is the same outlook, but a less likely chance, but it's still possible. So as these storms move over the same areas over these extended period of days, this could easily jump up to a 1 in 10, 25, or 50-year event, which means widespread flooding and big impacts. I'm not a big fan of talking about a 50-year or a 100-year event because due to climate change really turbocharging extreme weather events, more moisture being in the atmosphere, which means more moisture falls when you squeeze it out of the atmosphere, we see more flooding events happening. But this is just to give you something that's showing up climatologically compared to a forecast. This is an area where we have to be very, very concerned about. And so that is why we're talking about this event and spending a lot of time on it. So that's it for this update. I'll be bringing you updates tomorrow and for the next several days as we go through the situation. If you live in those impacted areas, please be on the lookout for flooding. I'm just going to leave you here with the accumulated precipitation. Those areas in yellow, 10 to 15 inches of rain are forecast by this particular model to fall in these areas. So I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. Thanks a lot for watching this update. We'll be doing special updates because of this severe weather event, extreme weather event, over the next several days for the All Hazards Consortium. Get your plans together. This event is going to happen. There's a high likelihood for it. Please watch out for yourself. Watch out for your neighbors. If you don't think they have access to information that is giving them, could give them an idea for what's happening here, please inform them. Tell your neighbors, tell them you'll be there for them. And if they're in a flood-prone area, help to get them out of there. We don't want to see loss of life because of this extreme event that's coming. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Please watch out for yourself and watch out for your neighbors.